Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 22 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Van Scott. Van, thank you so much for the support. We could not do this without you and we appreciate it so very much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guest of the day like Van, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for a holla. Alright, so when we left off yesterday, Keisha and Kevin are up on the block. Enzo's got the veto. Doesn't look like he's gonna use it. And there are so many alliances forming. So let's dive right in. Okay, yesterday morning, Kaser and Ian were chatting in the bathroom area. Ian is feeling a little bit better now, thankfully. The slop has really been taking a toll on that tummy. So, I mean, all the have-nots have really been feeling it. So they talk some game. And Ian says he's been having a hard time getting a read on things. It didn't help that he was feeling like bleh for a while. But he also just can't figure out who's working together. So, I mean, of course, so many people have been saying, like, nobody's talking game yet. It's so weird. They both agree. People are definitely talking. Duh. But they can't figure out who's together at this point. So obviously, people are not going to be like, this is my alliance, what's up? Nobody wants to be the first one to get caught, right? Nobody wants to be the one who everybody's like, whoa, that person's playing way too hard, way too soon. Kaser. So, Kaser asks Ian, is there anyone that you trust yet at this point? And Ian says, I'm not really quite there yet, but he says he does feel a sense of comfort and like warmth from Janelle, because they were on season 14 together, so it was just nice even from day one to like see a familiar face and somebody that he's lived with for at least like a month before. So yeah, at this point he feels pretty good with her. So then they were talking about what it's like playing this game while being on the autism spectrum, and you know, they were talking about having difficulty picking up on social cues, you know, tending to take things literally. This is not something that comes naturally to them, but they were saying, like, you know, this is something that we can work on and get better at. So at this point, it's kind of just like a lot all at once because they haven't been doing this much lately. So I mean, they haven't been playing Big Brother right before this. So, Ian was talking about some really upsetting stuff from his first season, how they would, like, laugh at him and not even try to hide it. They were just, like, making fun of him in plain sight, and that just breaks my heart to hear. And he was talking about how Boogie would just, like, tear into him, because Boogie was his coach that season. And at one point he told him, like, get a clue, I regret picking you for my team, and like all this crazy stuff. And Kaser was like, guess what? Well, he didn't say guess what, but he said, in life, you don't need to take advice from those who themselves don't have a clue. Woo! Amen. So then Kaser's encouraging Ian to be himself. He tells him, you're an awesome guy. Don't beat yourself up about missing social cues. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, people are going to be understanding and they're going to accept you for who you are. And, like, if people don't, forget them. Like, you don't need them. I just love these two. I really feel like this is BB at its finest. I mean, you can talk about the gameplay for days, but when you see people coming in and they're, like, so far outside of their comfort zones and they're learning about themselves and other people, it's just so amazing to watch that happen. So we're already off to such a great start here. But anyway, then Cody and Memphis were having a game chat on the Sky Bridge, and Memphis is wanting to get their 6-person alliance started that he was talking about the other day. So just a reminder, he's thinking the two of them, Christmas, Bailey, Tyler, and Danny. I'm missing a page here. Okay, so Memphis is saying he does not want this alliance to be out in the open. Oh, duh. He's saying it's gotta be inconspicuous. We're just gonna, like, share information. We're gonna deflect for each other when we hear each other's names come up. We're not gonna nominate each other if we win HOH. So an alliance? This doesn't sound like anything, like, super groundbreaking. But basically he's saying he wants to have people in this alliance that are not going to need constant reassurance and like meeting as a whole group like late at night. Like they can just check in, you know, 2 at a time or whatever, and it's not going to be like this big thing. So he says also, you know, Kaser assumes that me, him, Keisha, and Janelle are all going to work together. He says, that's too obvious. F off. And they agree that Kaser is trying way too hard and it just doesn't feel natural, even when he's just trying to, like, get to know them. And then they, like, laugh about it. And it just sucks so bad, considering we know now that Kaser feels that he is on the autism spectrum. And, like, that's something that an autistic person would go through, like, probably on a regular basis, not being able to, like, naturally relate to people. So it just makes me so sad that this is happening, and they're, like, laughing about it. But anyway, they agree that Memphis should keep Kaser close because, you know, he could have info, or if he wins HOH, like, they want to be able to protect themselves. Blah, blah, blah. So then Cody brings up that it might be difficult to add Bailey into their alliance or to their group, because she's so close to Davon, they would have to add both of them, and they don't want their group to get too big. So Memphis is like, I don't know, we'll figure that out later. So Memphis has also already come up with like a name for this. He wants to call this circle of trust the usual suspects or the unusual suspects. He can't really decide yet. Okay. I'm sorry. This alliance it just doesn't sound like super appealing to me. Okay. But they plan to work on building this group throughout the day. A lot of the house guests at this point are just waiting for the backyard to open up so people can start to really spread out and have deeper game chats. Because at this point, everyone's like, because they just have so little room to work it. All right. So then Cody and David had a chat in the storage room. And David says, I'm going for that next HOH. Cody's like, cool, I have your back. And they agree that they vibe. They want to work together. They feel really good about each other. So Cody says, if I ever hear anything about you, like if anyone says, oh yeah, I don't know about Kevin, I'll let you know. Oh my God. His name is not Kevin, it's David. He's done this multiple times already, and now, like, to his face again. So David doesn't say anything yet, and then Cody's like, if I ever hear your name in a negative way, I'll deflect the shit out of it. That's gonna be tough when you don't know his name. It's gonna be good for Kevin, though. You know, Kevin is gonna have a lot of deflecting going on. So then Cody is saying, like, oh yeah, you're super likable. Everybody's always like, yeah, I love Kevin. And he tells David, you're not going out early this year. So Cody messes David's name up a third time in this conversation, and David finally corrects him. Oh my God. What is going on here? So then Cody has a quick check-in with Tyler. And Cody confirms Enzo is not using the power of veto. He gives Tyler the heads up that Memphis wants to kick things off with that alliance. And he's also saying we got to be careful because people are already worried that there's a guys alliance forming. We don't want this to get ruined by that. Okay. So then later, Keisha checks in with Kaser in the key bedroom, and Keisha's asking, is it Kevin? No, Keisha's asking, have you heard anything at all? And Kaser says, no, no one is talking to me. Ugh. So Keisha's saying, I don't want to campaign too hard because everybody knows that's not a great look either. But she's going through her potential votes, and she thinks she has like Davon, Unicole, Kaser, Janelle, and Memphis. So that would be 5. And she says, I need 2 more to make 7. I don't think she has all those votes that she thinks she may have. Ugh. But they're having a tough time trying to figure out like a campaign strategy here because they're not sure what Cody wants this week. And a lot of times, especially like early on in a season, the HOH has so much influence over who leaves because people don't want to go like against the grain and make waves. So they don't realize Cody's actually leaning towards Keisha going at this point. But yeah, Kaser's telling Keisha, you should tell people that you feel like you're good and everybody's going to keep you, because then they're going to feel like, oh, okay, I'm going to vote with the majority, and they're going to be comfortable with it. So Kaser says also you should try and make Cody feel safe so that he'll want you to stay, because again, he's going to have a lot of influence over people's votes. All right, we'll see. So then Nicole F. and Davon have a game chat on the Sky Bridge. And this always just feels like so weird because, you know, there's that iffiness from season 18 considering how Nicole tanked Davon's game. But Nicole's asking Day, do you feel good with me? And Day says, yeah. For real? And she says, she admits she didn't feel good at first. She thought it was pretty suspicious that Nicole waited until now to thank her for casting that winning vote for her in season 18. You know, it took 3 years for Nicole to thank her. And Nicole says, I get it. But she promises she's for real this time. She's not going to talk bad about Day. She's not going to do anything against her. She's not going to repeat anything that she tells her. I would love to, like, I hope so. I hope she's telling the truth, but I don't know that that's true. So Day says, this is our opportunity to do it right. All right, so then they talk a little bit of game. They're wondering if there's, like, a big alliance that they're not part of because they feel like there should be more game talk at this point. You know, is there something huge that they're not a part of and they're missing? Honestly, no. Honestly, it seems like there's a lot of, like, medium-sized alliances popping up, but there's not really like this big thing happening. They were also wondering if it was going to be like old school versus new school, but that doesn't really seem to be a thing thanks to Memphis. I mean, I guess you could consider Enzo old school as well, and he's not all buddy-buddy with like Janelle and Kaser and them, so it's really not old school versus new school. So Nicole is telling Day, again, like, I'm loyal to the people that are loyal to me, and if I win HOH, you don't even have to go for the safety suite. Like, you don't even have to worry about that. You're going to be safe with me. And she says, it'll be cool for the viewers to see us working together. And honestly, yes, I would love to see it, because I want to see Davon do well. But I feel like it would be so nice to see them work together. We'll see if that's actually going to happen or not. I'm not going to, like, get my hopes up for it because I've been burned before. So then Nicole says she's playing with more heart this season, and she wants someone that she likes to win. She really likes Day, Danny, Bailey. She wants to see all of them go far. Again, I'm not holding my breath. But Nicole mentioned how she talked a lot about like the internet and the fans and Twitter and everything yesterday. She said how the internet probably has like a good Nicole and a bad Nicole at this point. Like they've probably already designated that, and like she knows that she's probably the bad Nicole. Just because, I mean, you got her and then you got Nicole. So we saw people are not really feeling Nicole F right now on the outside. So yeah. They're not really sure who should stay this week. They both agree they like Kevin more on a personal level, but he also seems like a stronger competitor, so yeah. Okay, so then there were a lot of little discussions about the vote. There was a conversation between Janelle and Danny. Janelle was saying, I just want to go with the house this week. You know, I just want to know what's going on so I can follow suit. And Danny says, well, I'm closer to Kevin on a personal level. She also feels bad that he seems to be having a really hard time fitting in. They, you know, judging by what they saw in the Power Veto competition, they feel like Keisha's not a super strong competitor. Apparently she really beefed it. I don't know. But Janelle also brought up the point, she feels like Kevin is more of a floater. And she feels like that's really dangerous. And if you think about it, Janelle really does not like floaters because she can never play that game. That's not an option for her. So she has like this accentuated dislike for that game, you know? All right. Christmas and Tyler were also talking about the vote, and Tyler says he's talked to Kevin more. And Christmas says Kevin seems to be a better competitor, though. We got to think about that. It might be better to keep Keisha. We could just, like, use her for a vote or whatevs. I mean, it's good to have Kevin still in the game if he's on your side. But if he's not, I don't know. So then they were talking about how they're going to ride this thing out until the end together. And they were also saying they want to win as many competitions as they can. Tyler keeps telling people that. He says that he's going hard for like every single comp. I don't know if he's just saying that or if it's actually for real. Because he's also been saying like, I want to win all these competitions so that I don't have to make all these deals and then like backstab people because I have a deal with like everybody. But from what we've seen so far, Tyler's making deals with everybody. So I don't know if he's just trying to like throw people off his game or what, but it seems very similar to the game that he played last season. Yeah. So then Memphis and Danny were chatting in the photo bedroom, and this is the alliance conversation. Memphis is proposing the alliance he was talking about before with Cody, and he's like, yeah, I want to get like 5 or 6 people that no one would suspect are working together. It would be called like the Unusual Suspects. He's really proud of that. So he's saying like it's not necessarily people that you're gonna like sit and have full conversation with. We're just looking out for each other. See, my issue with this, where's the incentive to stay loyal to this like alliance if there's no personal connection? Because I feel like, okay, you can set up this alliance, but then like say you get close to these other people, you're probably gonna want to stay loyal to these people that you're actually close with and have like a bond with, an emotional bond, than these people that you just have this like alliance set up with no connection whatsoever. You're just like, we're in an alliance. That doesn't seem like it's gonna work to me. I don't know. Maybe right now it seems like it would because people haven't really become like invested in each other, but I think a few weeks down the line they're going to be thinking differently. So during this conversation, it was funny because Memphis was playing it off like he doesn't already know who he wants in the alliance. He was trying to make it seem like very, let's figure this out together. Like, let's come up with people to be in it together. And Danny was saying it's hard because so many people have weird connections with each other since we've all played already. True. There's a lot of different layers this season. And back to trying to figure out who should be in the group, Memphis is saying he wants people that are good socially and can like hold their own, so they're not always going to be together. And he's saying like, I don't want people who need to be like constantly reassured and like need group therapy. And then Danny went, so what you're saying is not Ian? Wow. So then Memphis says Ian scares the shit out of him. He's said multiple times now to multiple people that he's going to target Ian out. He's going to target Ian and try and get him out the first chance that he gets. I really do think that there is like a bitterness there too because Ian beat Dan in the final 2 and Memphis was like besties with Dan. But they agree also, like Ian's one of the best players of all time and it's totally possible that he could make it to the end again. So then Memphis throws out some names for potential people in this group. So he's like, Tyler, Bailey, and Danny says no. Bailey is really close with Day. So if you want Bailey in this group, Davon's going to have to be in this group too. So Memphis is like, never mind then. So then he's like, okay, what about me, you, Tyler, Cody, David? They're not really sure about David. Spoiler alert, they're going to cut him from the group. Christmas and or Nicole F. So then Danny's like, Nicole, I haven't really like talked to her that much yet. Sure, Danny. But Danny is on board for the alliance. She's like, yeah, of course. Because this is pretty much already the alliance that she was planning with Cody anyway. All right, so then Enzo finally has his conversation with Nicole F. Do you guys remember, like, they have that 4 with Cody and Danny, and Enzo kept saying, like, I need to talk to Nicole F. and, like, make sure we're good, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. So Enzo is like, I'm good with the 3 of you guys, and Nicole's like, yeah, you are. So then Nicole's asking him if he's going to use the veto, and Enzo says no. Cody doesn't want me to. He doesn't want to, like, make any backdoor moves or anything like that. So then the feeds cut away from them a little bit, and when they come back, they're talking about how they, like, need to take out the pairs in the house. They need to break all that up. What about, like, the pair in your group of Cody and Nicole F? So then they both say they're feeling good about Day, Bailey, Tyler. But if they pulled all 3 of them into their group, that's going to make 7. And that's just too many for them. So they'd feel a lot more comfortable around like the 6 range. But Nicole says, it's great for us to have this like side stuff going on, but we have to remember our 4 always comes first. It's tough to say who Cody and Enzo are more loyal to. I think Cody might be closer to Danny, but I feel like Enzo is really building something with Day and Bailey. So, I don't know. I'm sure Cody and Enzo are just going to try and play the middle for a long time, but we'll see what happens. So then Day and Kevin were talking in the lounge, and they're trying to count up his votes, and he's thinking he has like Day, Nicole, maybe Nicole F, Bailey, Enzo, maybe David, maybe Danny. So that's like potentially 7, which is what he needs to stay. But they're confused because Nicole gave him some information. She told him, yeah, Keisha came up to me and asked me if I have 6 votes, would you be my 7th? So now Day and Kevin are like, what 6 does Keisha have? What? So Keisha was kind of counting on Day and Nicole, but I think they're definitely more on Kevin's side. But Nicole is on the case. She's going to try and find out where these votes are going to land for Kevin. So then Kevin was saying he's not giving up hope yet on Enzo using this veto. He's coming up with this plan to try and get like Memphis backdoored. And Day's like, you know what? Let's just focus on getting you the votes. I think that's a smart move. Okay, so then Tyler was really on the move yesterday. He is reinforcing with David, like, I want to work with you. We can go to the end, blah, blah, blah. Then he's talking to Day, and he's telling her, I want to talk more with you. We can do this. And she's all excited and hugging him. Then he's talking to Kaser. I mean, seriously, it's like Tyler just waits in the storage room, and people come in, like, one after the other. And in the span of, like, 10 minutes, Tyler has multiple final 2 deals. So then he's like laying the groundwork with Kaser. Kaser saying, I want to work with you and Cody. I feel like all of our values line up and, we all bring good things to the game. So let's do this. And of course, Tyler's like, hell yeah. All right. So then Tyler and Nicole F were chatting in the living room. This conversation gets pretty wild. So first of all, they say, like, they both missed their showmances, and this season feels so much harder. During their last seasons, they were both the first HOH. So they had people coming to them, giving them information, and now that's not the case. So they agree that they're going to look out for each other. They're like, I got you 100%. And then Tyler's asking her, are you cool with Cody? And Nicole says yes, but she, of course, downplays their relationship. She's all, I still gotta talk to him. So Nicole says she really likes both of them, thinks that they're both similar, and she wants to work with Tyler and Cody, of course. So then Nicole brought up again that she's worried that people are going to want to put up her and Ian next to each other because they're the 2 winners this season. No one is saying that besides Nicole. So I feel like she is going to create her own problem. I don't think anybody else is planning on doing that. So I feel like the more she brings it up, the more people are going to be like, whoa, this is an easy out for me. I can like put up 2 threats and like have an excuse to do it. So I feel like she should stop talking about that, but that's just me. So then they talk about some of the preseason rumors. Oh boy. So Nicole brings up the one about like her calling production in tears, complaining that she didn't get a call to be on this cast. And then, whoa, BB cut the feeds. So when they come back, Nicole's saying, it's not true. You really think I'm not an all-star? Like, I was the first female to beat a dude. And Tyler's like, yeah, I don't think anyone actually, like, believes that you're not an all-star and that you, like, cried to production, blah, blah, blah. I think there's a lot of people that believe that. I'm not saying that it's true, but I know there's a lot of people that definitely believe that. So then it gets interesting because Nicole says she knows for a fact that Evil Dick and one person in this house started the rumor. So Tyler's like, who was it? So Nicole eventually says, it was Evil Dick and Janelle, because those two are friends. And she says, Janelle doesn't know that I know. And I believe at one point Janelle actually walked past them when they were talking and Nicole was all like, so it's pretty crazy. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know the truth about this. But Tyler also said it is not true that he said he wasn't going to do the show unless Angela was also going to be on. He says he wishes that was the case. Okay. So I got to know what you guys think about this preseason stuff. Leave it in the comments. But anyway, last night, the house guests finally got the backyard around 8 p.m. Big Brother time. Thank the Lord, because they were going crazy in there. I can't believe how long they were cooped up without being able to go outside. So they all run out screaming. And the backyard, this is our first view of it as well. It looks good. It's really colorful. They're loving the setups with like the patio area and like all the extra seating. They got the exercise bikes, the pool table, of course. And Ian was reunited with his beloved hammock. I love that for him. Everyone was just like enjoying the fresh air. You could tell their moods improved so much just by being outside. Okay, so then later, Kevin was chatting with Unicole in the Have Not room. She was not having a good night because she was feeling sick as hell from that slop. So she spent a lot of the night just like resting and trying not to throw up everywhere. Poor Nicole, or poor Unicole. So Kevin says, my intuition tells me that Janelle is not liking me. So Unicole is telling him, I have faith that you're going to be fine this week. And Kevin says, don't tell anybody. But if I win HOH, I would put up Janelle and Kaser because they went for the safety suite. Oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why not put up somebody who like nominated you? I don't know. So then Unicole says, I respect it a lot. What are you doing? Unicole, you're like in with Janelle and Kaser. What? You're not getting anything from that other side. Stop. So Unicole's talking about breaking up the OG pairs, which I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but maybe like wait a little bit. I don't know. She's talking about breaking up these power pods, but you're just doing the dirty work for these other people. So later, Cody and Enzo had a chat up in the HOH room, and Enzo's like, we have like 5 alliances. I don't know what I'm doing. It was pretty funny. But yeah, they're really setting themselves up here because they are working with a shit ton of people. So Enzo says he is really liking Day and Bailey. He knows that they're close to Janelle. So when he was talking to them earlier, he was kind of like floating out the idea of pulling her into their group. And Cody is like, yeah, I want to be on Janelle's good side. But what's weirding him out a little bit is he knows if he starts working with Janelle, that's also going to include Kaser. And he does not have a great relationship with Kaser. So he's also saying, you know, I really trust Danny completely, but he also thinks that she is working with Janelle on the down low, which isn't like really the case from what we've seen so far. Yeah, so they're undecided with what they're going to do with Janelle at this point. But then Bailey joined them, Day joined them a few minutes later, so now they have their alliance of 4 together. They still haven't named it, but they are working together. So at this point, they're trying to figure out, moving forward, are we going to grow this alliance past 4, you know, bring more people in officially? Or are we going to like set up some side stuff and just keep other people close? So they decide the best thing for them to do would be to have the 4 of them each pick a person to keep close, but this person won't actually be in the group. So they decide, okay, Davon's going to work on Danny, Bailey's going to work on Janelle, Cody is going to work on Ian, and Enzo will work on Tyler. So it was just kind of funny because Bailey was the one like saying, you're going to work with this person, you're going to work with blah, blah, blah. And she's like basically explaining the brigade to Enzo because that was pretty much exactly what they did. I don't think Bailey has seen that season to my knowledge, but it was pretty hilarious that she was explaining to Enzo how the brigade worked. Okay, so anyway, then they talk about the vote for this week, and Cody is saying he would prefer Kevin to stay over Keisha, and they all pretty much seem to agree with that. Okay, it definitely seems like at this point, the vote is leaning towards Kevin staying. So, in other news, The house guests sang happy birthday to Kaser after midnight last night, and they're all like, yay, you're not getting evicted on your birthday this time. I'm pretty sure he was evicted on his birthday on 6 and 7. I think it happened twice. You're saying no. Oh, you don't know. Okay. I think it happened twice. It definitely happened at least once. So yeah, he's pretty psyched that it's not happening this time. They even put together something that resembled a cake. It was like a couple of like ho-hos or whatever stacked up with like a Twix bar jammed in there. Actually, it wasn't even a full Twix bar. It was like half a Twix bar, which is maybe sadder. I don't know. But Keisha also pulled out the iconic line, anybody want cake? If only Libra was there to say it, you know? I mean, I love Keisha, but that is Libra's line. I know it's Keisha's birthday, but that's Libra's line. But yeah, it was funny. So, moving on. There was a late night chat last night between Keisha, Janelle, and Kaser in the key bedroom. And Keisha's talking about how she is going to be pissed at Memphis if he doesn't vote for her to stay. I mean... it might not happen. Keisha... Okay, no. Janelle was then asking Keisha, who would you nominate if you won HOH? And Keisha says, well, I would nominate Cody and one of his friends. So Janelle's like, okay, you should use that when you campaign. Or at least tell people, like, you want to put up 2 guys. And she's saying, like, obviously you can't say that to everyone. You can't say that to somebody like Tyler or David because they're assuming that Cody's working with them. But Janelle's saying you could use that with, like, Bailey and Day and maybe, like, Ian. But the crazy thing is, like, so much of the house is working with Cody, especially Day and Bailey. Oh, my God. So then Janelle says she's going after a bigger threat if she wins HOH. And eventually she tells them, it's Nicole F. Oh, shit. Okay, so there's clearly some bad blood between the two of them. Janelle says she does not trust Nicole F. at all. And Kaser says, yeah, Nicole is basically a floater. She goes around stirring information, stirring things up. Whereas, like, Cody, yeah, he's good at competitions and stuff, but you know where he stands. He will stick with one side and just, like, duke it out. Excuse me. So Keisha says, well, we could just put up Cody and Nicole together. That is an option. All right, so then this morning, Cody and Kevin were chatting in the have-not room, and Cody says, okay, I've been talking to people, and it seems like you're in a good place with the votes this week. And Kevin's like, yeah, I'm realizing that people are really putting a lot of stock into what you want because you're the HOH. So he tells Cody, I'm going to be eternally in servitude, like to you. They agree that they want to work together in the future. We'll see. I don't think Cody would necessarily bring Kevin, like, into any of his million alliances, but I'm sure he wants to stay cool with him just in case Kevin comes into power or if he needs a vote or something. So then later, Memphis proposes his unusual suspects alliance to Tyler. And I'm not going to go through it all again because you've heard it like a million times now, but it is funny. He lied and said to Tyler, you're the first person that I'm talking to about this. So of course Tyler is like, I'm in. He just throws this alliance on the pile. And then Memphis also pitches the alliance or non-alliance to Nicole F. And she's like, okay. So then it's time for the Power of Veto ceremony. Holy shit. Enzo does not use the POV as expected, which means Keisha and Kevin remain up on the block. And then things started to get a little weird. Ian and you, Nicole, were talking about the vote. And Ian was like, I don't know what exactly is happening this week. I'm afraid that Kevin might be the target. And he's saying, like, I'm not necessarily for that, but that's just, like, the vibe I'm getting, which is not true. It seems like Keisha's the target, right? But he doesn't know that. And he says, I like Kevin a lot. You know, I'm not saying that I want that to happen. He says he also likes Keisha a lot. And he says, you know, from what I'm hearing from people, that seems to be the case, that Kevin could be the target this week. So Nicole's like, what? So then Ian's saying, I'm going to vote how I want. I'm not doing the whole, like, vote with the house thing. Woo! Okay. So then after this conversation is over, Nicole is alone in the have-not room, and she starts talking to cameras. Oh, boy. And she says, oh, there's must be, like, a huge conglomeration that I'm not seeing. F. Of course, she says the real F word. And she says, I'm not going through this again. I don't blame her. She must be freaking traumatized from last season. But, like, Nicole has some really bad reads so far. I think part of it is, like, how sick she was last night and she was missing stuff. But, like, let's be real. She didn't know what was going on before that. Like, she is a mess right now. So she says, and no offense, he's an ass. She's talking about Ian. If he's working with all of them, because buddy, you're on the bottom of the totem pole, and if Kevin goes, the similar people to Kevin are you and myself. I don't give an F what kind of deals he has. He's very foolish if he goes on the Keisha train. What? What is going on here? Nicole really has no idea what's going on, girl. So she says she's going to go around and talk to every single person and see what's going on with their vote, see what's up. She also told, like, all the live feed updaters, mark this moment as you dumb shit, you're unaware. That is fair to say. that is accurate. I wouldn't say she's a dumb shit, but I think she's having a hard time figuring things out right now. Woo! Okay, so we got 3 days left until this eviction. As of right now, it's leaning towards Kevin staying, Keisha going, but anything could happen in that time. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments if you made it to the end. And until next time, much love.